Hello, Klaus here, and welcome back to yet another video here at the channel. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the Sirui 75mm lens. I did do an first impression video, so if you want to have a look at the unboxing first thoughts, have a look right up here. But for this video, I want to test out what this lens can do. And also, I'm wondering if I take the 50mm lens out and do a shot from the same distance. Are these two portrait lenses going to be similar, or is it very obvious that you're shooting on the new 75mm lens? And by the way, this shot here is done on the 35mm anamorphic lens, just to keep this video in that anamorphic field of view. So without further ado, let's go out and test the 75mm lens. Let's go. So just a couple of things to get out of the way before we start to shoot. First off, of course, this is the focus length of 75mm. No problem there. The aperture is 1.8 to f16. And of course, all the tests I'm doing are done on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Also, the rotating angle of the focus ring is 191 degrees, so that is kind of a big throw when you go from minimum focus to infinity. Also, the weight of the lens itself is 810 grams, so this is by far the heaviest of the Sirui anamorphic lenses. Also, the filter thread is 67 centimeters like all of the others except for the 24, which is 72. And it is again very well built and a very nice lens. Let's go to the footage. So for the first test, I'm just shooting some regular shots out in my garden on a tripod. And what I want to test out in this particular test is actually the separation of the foreground, middle ground, and background, which are very, very great on this lens, by the way. A great example of that would be this shot here, where the middle ground is the straws and the background is totally out of focus. Also here, I'm just playing around with the focus. And again, it's doing a very nice job. Again, separating the flower here in the foreground from the background. And of course, I'm doing the exact same thing here. Actually taking the flower from the foreground and going all the way to the background here as well. So for the next test, I wanted to test out the difference between the 50 and the 75mm lens, and here we have the 75mm at the minimum focus distance, and this is how that looks. And now we go to the 50mm at 120 centimeters away, like the 75mm lens, and as you see, it is not producing the same image at all. And here we go to the 50mm at the minimum focus distance, 85 centimeters, but it's not giving the same resolve as on the 75. The next test, I'm testing out depth of field and how it is to work with the lens and the focus and all of these things. Here I'm doing a sequence with a scout I do know. I do really love how it's possible to make the separation from the background to the foreground and the middle ground. It is superb on this lens. Compared to the others, this is very, very characteristic, and it's also very, very nice to work with. However, if you want to do close-ups more extreme than this, you are going to need to use diopters and stuff like that, but that's just a thing with anamorphic lenses, I guess. Okay, so for the next test, I'm doing a sharpness test here at f1.8, 120 centimeters away from the subject, and it is a bit soft at the minimum f-stop. Here at f2.8, it is a little more sharp. Again, it is doable, and you can fix this in post, of course. At 2.8, it's starting to be a very sharp lens, actually. Again, I'm 120 centimeters away from the subject. Here at f4, it is becoming very sharp. And I do compensate for all of these shots with the ISO or the light. Here again at f5.6 it is very sharp indeed. At f8 it is overall sharp, and it's also beginning to affect the depth of field. Here at f11 it is sharp, and you can see the spots down at the wall in the background. Here at f16 everything is in focus, also the background, and this is of course affecting the depth of fields, but maybe that's what you want. Okay, for this test I took out the lens at night and just trying to work with the flares, and it does flare pretty easy. As soon as you have a light hitting the lens, it's going to give you a flare. Also, we have some flares right here from the lamps. And if we do, like here, a pan at some graffiti, we have the flares from the light at the angle. Here we have a bus driving through, and as you see, it flares very nicely, and it is also like you would expect from a serial lens. Again, here we have flares from the traffic light in the back, and also from the car going towards the camera. Again, that is super nice and very cinematic in my point of view. For this shot I'm showing you the bokeh, and you can see that looks pretty darn nice. I'm going to that into a lens flare, and now I'm going to go out of focus yet again so you can see the bokeh. It looks very lovely and nice. Okay, so that was a look at the 75mm lens from Sirui, and I must admit, of all of the Sirui lenses, the 75mm is my favorite. Not necessarily for making large pictures and stuff like that. It's not very good for that actually. You have to go so far away because of the minimum focus distance and because of course, the 75mm lens that it is. But for close-ups, this is just amazing. And if you are a Sirui anamorphic user, you definitely want to have this one in your kit. If you do not have any of the other lenses, it might be a little bit hard just to get the 75 actually. But nevertheless, this is an amazing lens. Oh, and by the way, I weren't paid by Sirui to say any of these things. These are my own opinion, and I did again buy this with my own money, like I did with all of the Sirui lenses I have in my collection. So finally, I have now a full collection of anamorphic lenses, and I'm just going to love using those for projects coming up in the future. Anyway, I do hope you found this video useful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, share it with your friends if you think it would help them out, and if you want to be notified every time there's a new video on this channel, please hit that bell icon down in the corner. Until next time, keep filming, keep learning, and keep sharing.